You are listening to Viewpoints from Place Cloud. Cultural researchers tell stories of places from around the world. For the full multimedia experience and to support the creators you enjoy, visit placecloud.io.
We're standing outside Bevin Court, a housing complex first conceived just after the Second World War, though it wasn't fully completed until 1954. It was designed by the firm of famed modernist architect Bertold Lubetkin, who had early in his career designed modernist animal housing for the Zoological Society of London. This complex wasn't originally to be named Bevin Court, however. It was originally meant to be called Lenin Court, since Vladimir Lenin had lived on this site from 1902 to 1903. The shift from honoring a Russian revolutionary to honoring a Labor Party foreign secretary wary of the Soviet Union offers a history in miniature of not only the Cold War in Britain, but also of the fortunes of modernist architects in this country, as this viewpoint will explore. So, let's go back in time to survey the early days of architectural modernism in England. Many of the figures responsible for popularizing the movement, including Lubetkin, had emigrated to Britain in the early 20th century, and like Lubetkin, several had communist convictions, with most holding left-wing views of one sort or another. After his breakthrough work at the London Zoo, Lubetkin went on to collaborate with the Labour Party-led council in Finsbury, where his pre-war firm Tecton designed the Finsbury Health Centre, and then created the design for the Spa Green estate, council housing that would be completed only after the war. As you might guess from these projects, Lubetkin in the 1930s saw modern architecture as a tool for raising the standard of living for members of the working class in Britain, all as part of a decade and a movement in which political commitments and artistic commitments were hard to separate. As Lubetkin is often quoted, nothing is too good for ordinary people. However, the Second World War brought mixed fortunes for architectural modernism. Many modernist architects and engineers anticipated that their skills designing structures made of reinforced concrete would be key to protecting civilians from an unprecedented aerial war. Lubetkin himself designed a deep bomb shelter, but he was upset to find that Finsbury did not adopt his design, but instead went with the cheaper, less safe version that the government promoted, and Lubetkin noted that the council hushed up the risk of those shelters. Lubetkin went so far as to suggest that Churchill wanted to inculcate the Britain can take it mentality, playing down fear of the bombs. For his part, Lubetkin put that project aside and left London to take up farming during the war. Some architects weren't that lucky, though. German Jewish refugee Arthur Korn was interned during the war, as were many others who had fled Germany and Austria. Yet other architects, especially via the famed Modern Architectural Research Group, look forward to the role that modernists would play in Britain's reconstruction. Indeed, so did some who worked for the Ministry of Information. Films scripted by the likes of Dylan Thomas and Graham Greene celebrated the proposed remaking of the nation through its architecture, and a well-known series of propaganda posters featured modernist structures, including Lubetkin's Finsbury Health Centre, alongside the slogan, "Your Britain, fight for it now." In this way, modernists created housing, schools, and health centers came to represent the incipient welfare state. We can certainly see that legacy in Bevin Court, which was built on a Second World War bomb site. The flats incorporated modern art into the building itself, with a mural by Peter Yates depicting the history of Finsbury and its coat of arms. To create visual interest, the position of the windows alternates, and the interior features an impressive central staircase that recalls Lubetkin's spiral ramps for the penguins at the London Zoo. But what resulted wasn't exactly what was originally intended. Even before work on Bevin Court had begun, Lubetkin designed a memorial for Lenin in Holford Square, a memorial which was created at the Foreign Office's suggestion to honor the Soviet allies, and which was unveiled in 1942. As attitudes towards Russia changed, the memorial was subject to vandalism, and Lubetkin eventually had it removed. It was meant to be incorporated in the housing complex, but instead Lubetkin is said to have buried it among the building's foundations, and the building was instead named for Foreign Secretary Ernest Bevin, who favored a close alliance with the United States in the early Cold War. All in all, these changes in the planning of Bevin Court reveal something very important about the transition from pre-war to post-war modernism. In that period, it went from a linguistic phenomenon, a movement popularized in visionary journals and manifestos, to a reality. But frustrations emerged for Lubetkin as he worked within the cost-cutting and shortage-prone context of post-war austerity after the idealism of the pre-war era. To economize, Lubetkin was forced to make significant changes to his earlier vision for these flats in Hobart Square, including balconies that were to run along every floor. To complete this quick survey, I'd like us to make one further jump forward in time, as we use Bevin Court to witness the history of modernism in miniature. This time we're moving from post-war Britain to what's been called the post-welfare state. Because of changes to housing policy, many of the flats in this trailblazing council estate have passed over into private hands. In this, Bevin Court joins a trend in modernist estates, one seen especially clearly in Erno Goldfinger's Balfron Tower, redeveloped in the 21st century into luxury housing.